What's up, everybody? It is my first test stream of Ask Show. This isn't official. I'm playing around with OBS and trying to get this whole thing to work. This week, I want to start streaming. That's my big push for the week. I want to start doing live streams. I've got a May release video coming out in a few hours. I just have to finish editing it and putting it together, but it'll be up on the site, on the channel shortly. But yeah, I just want to test this out to see how this feels. I tried it a couple of years ago just to play around with it. I wasn't too comfortable with it then. I'm still not really that comfortable with it now, but you know, if not now, when, right? So one of the things I wanted to talk about, I think there's smoke, there's fire, right? Apple just announced that iPad is going to get, on the 25th of May, Final Cut Pro and Apple Logic, the music creation program, and Final Cut Pro, their big editing program that works with Apple devices. It's native for Apple. Now, I've been pumped for this for a few years. Yes, I wish Premiere would be released on the system, but yeah, Final Cut Pro is coming, and that's a really big deal. It's going to be for iPads and M1 devices. Now, you might be asking yourself, why am I talking about Apple devices, Apple M1 devices for the iPad on a Meta-focused VR channel? Well, like I said, where there's smoke, there is fire. And, you know, actually, before I go into that, I need to figure out how to get comments. I have no idea how to look at comments. I'm using OBS, so there may be some way to do this. I'm probably going to have to end up buying Ecamm or something like that, which I do not want to do. But for now, I'm figuring it all out. But anyway, where there's smoke, there's fire. One of the things that's been bothering me, Apple is dropping two major bombs. People have been waiting. People like me who have been iPad owners for years have been waiting on this announcement for like 2 years, or at least since the first M1 Apple iPad came out. So now they're releasing this now, and I think it was the analyst Mark Gurman who said earlier this week, maybe it was last week, that said that Apple would release on their headset, their mixed reality VR device, the ability to use Apple iPad apps. Essentially, this device in the future is being positioned to be a replacement for the iPad. So essentially, everything you can do in the iPad, all the major apps, and eventually all of the apps, will be usable on the Apple headset. And this is a really, really big deal, right? Because this is like that golden blue sky that Meta's been trying to go for since the inception of the Quest, frankly, right? They wanted to make a device that has work productivity uses, right? And a device that's not just a gimmick, but something that's useful to the average person in the real world. And they've been trying to do that. You know, if it wasn't for Immersed, apps like Immersed, we wouldn't have that at all on the device. But Immersed has been pushing the rock, trying to make it happen where we can actually do productivity apps, streaming natively from an Apple device, from an Apple computer, to your Quest. Now, of course, I know there are other desktop streaming devices that programs that allow you to do that, but this was a big deal because that's Immersed. That's their bread and butter. They let you do basically stream your productivity apps and use your Apple device on the Quest. So Meta's really been trying to make the Quest a productivity platform. Essentially, it's an Android Chrome device, basically an Android device, but essentially Chrome is in your headset, and that's cool, right? I've used it. I've done some light word processing on it. I've done some web browsing. I've done obviously gaming, but as far as productivity, I've tried editing on it, but the resolution isn't good enough, and I wish the editing programs that I use could be used natively. But it's coming together. There's still a long way to go. The apps they work, but it all feels patchwork. It feels like they're mixing things and making things, forcing it to work on the Quest 2, and maybe a better experience on the Quest 3. But if anything, it feels like Meta is new to this. They're trying to open up new grounds, and they are, clumsily feeling their way along, but they're trying to make this happen. And for the most part, they're succeeding. It's just slow and awkward. They've gotten these devices to work. Like I said, I've done light word processing. I've done some work experiences on the app, but for the most part, it feels like an experiment. It feels like a gimmick. The reason I think people have been so excited about Apple's entry into the VR space is that people expect Apple to come up with a polished experience that justifies the use for the device. Now, this Apple device is going to be rumored $3,000, right? Which is not cheap at all. But here's the catch, and here's what makes this not only interesting, it almost makes this a compelling purchase if the device does what it says it's going to do. Now, I'm a cheapskate. I don't have $3,000, but if this works as intended, I would find a way to get $3,000 to get this device, first generation, because essentially what it's going to give me is a usable iPad, which is basically a MacBook for my purposes, a usable iPad in VR space with social integration that works with my phone. That's a big deal, and it works. Here are the specs. Let me pull these specs up, because this is what's really impressive. So the Apple XR VR headset is rumored to be announced at WWDC, which is on June 1st. And like I said, it should allow you to utilize many of the iPad apps in the headset. Apple is positioning this to be a useful tool. This is according to, I can't remember what site I pulled this from. I should have referenced this. Make this a note. I need to reference this material in my notes so that I can tell you where I'm getting it from. But Apple is positioning this to be a useful tool for both communication and work. The specs for the headset. Sony is making 4K 4,000 by 4,000 displays for Apple's headset with a 1.4 inch diagonal. This is a big deal because, and it's supposed to also have LiDAR, which is a depth sensor, which is something Meta is missing in their devices. It was removed at the last minute from the Quest Pro. It may appear in the Quest 3, we don't know. It's also supposed to be flat panel. Let's see, it's supposed to be, the Apple headset is supposed to have LiDAR, and where are my notes? I thought I copied it over, but it's also supposed to have OLED. Why is this a big deal? The Quest headset doesn't even have these lens specs that this has. So why are the lens specs important? Well, the sharpness and clarity should allow you to do reading clearly, like you're looking at a regular computer screen in front of your face in a flat world. Editing, which is something I need to do, which is why that's useful to me, because when I used it on the Quest, I haven't experienced the Quest Pro yet, but I've heard while it's better, it's still not quite good enough to do real work in. This allows you to do real work. It's supposed to be crystal clear, which is a really big deal. Now, because it's Apple, the early rumors were that, and again, we don't really know, Mark Gurman has been saying things already, things that he said a week ago have already been refuted. He said that Apple hasn't been putting any attention on Final Cut Pro or Logic, and here we are today. Apple announced that it's going to be out on the 25th on a subscription fee of $50 a year. I'm not thrilled about that, but it is what it is. Some of the stuff he's saying aren't necessarily 100% true, but it's cool to hope that if we can refute most of what Mark Furman says, that this headset should have a focus on productivity with some sampling of gaming. He says that it shouldn't have any kind of there won't be any controllers. We don't know, probably, because again, it's been rumored that Apple will do some gaming. So expect this push that we've recently seen on the iPad of more games, more emphasis on Apple Arcade, more emphasis in the XR games that we've already seen Apple do for the past few years, more emphasis on productivity, basically a fully featured package, communication, Apple Maps, a lighter headset display that we can carry, not the big bulky Quest like you see behind me on my stand. Something that is usable and enticing to real world people, something that people can use in their real life. $3,000 doesn't seem like, it's a lot no matter how you put it. I don't know what kind of money most people are making, but $3,000 is nothing to sneeze at. But when you're looking at it as a real laptop replacement that you can carry around with you, monitors and everything. It's good for entertainment. It's good for productivity. It's portable, and it's also exciting. It's futurist tech. It's a little pricey, but it's right around the ballpark of what I think most people will be willing to pay if it works. It's very exciting. What does this have to do with Meta? Why am I bringing this up on a channel that's mostly focused on Meta? Well, WWDC is in the first week of June, and on June 1st, Meta's announcing something big. They're calling it the Games Showcase, but if Apple is going to drop the announcement of their headset in that same week, Meta can't just come with games. They can't have a whole showcase focus on games. And the reason why I think they're going to do a little bit more than games, the reason I think they might just reveal their headset in that week is because we're starting to see announcements of games that would have been saved for the showcase being announced right now. Like this morning, we got the release of, we got the announcement of Budget Cuts Ultimate, which is a classic PC game, early PC VR, beloved by PC VR enthusiasts. That game is coming out on the Quest 2 platform on June 1st. It's called Budget Cuts Ultimate. It's Budget Cuts 1 and 2. And this is kind of a big deal. We weren't expecting it. It came out of nowhere. And here it is, dropped in our laps just before June 1st, which is something that totally could have and should have been in the show, but bumped out. Why? Because maybe they're making room for something bigger, right? There's going to be really big game announcements at that show, no doubt. But I think we're going to see something about that headset. I think they have to do something to counter Apple. It can't just be the rumored Asgard Wrath 2. It can't just be incredible first-party games from the studios that they've acquired and have been toiling on in quiet and silence for the past couple of years. While that's amazing, and I can't wait to hear what they announce. That's a big deal, but it's not going to be enough to stop people from getting an Apple headset. They've got to show something strong with a Meta Quest 3, and they cannot wait. They cannot afford to wait for Meta Connect, which usually comes much later in the year, to drop some news. They have to come up with something strong to show that they are competitive, and they are going to be priced accordingly. Not $3,000, not this crazy spec machine that most people won't grasp. They can grasp the Quest right now. So I think we're going to see something like that on June 1st, because June 1st is looking crazy. When I was doing my May release videos, my original intention, and I say this in my intro, my original intention was to do a video that showed off all the games of the summer. But the May calendar alone was so stacked that I just stuck with May. And it's already, May 9th? And there's still a ton of big games coming out before the end of May, before June 1st. June 1st has 3 major releases that we know about right now, not even counting what we're going to get in the game showcase for Meta. So yeah, this summer is going to be crazy. This summer, it's getting hot. The smoke is there. The smoke is in the sky. Apple's about to launch whatever they're doing. I don't think it's a rumor anymore. I think this is about to happen. And I think Meta is about to play their hand. It's about to get real competitive. Where's Valve? I don't know. Valve might be sitting back watching the show. If Meta comes strong with the games, really strong with the games, right now it could be disruptive to, of all things, PSVR 2. I had a revelation this week. Like I said, these past few weeks, we've been getting some bangers on the Quest 2. I was shocked. I'm enjoying these games. I barely turn on my flat games anymore. Every once in a while, I may turn on my Switch. Every once in a while, I may be compelled to maybe try something on Xbox. But for the most part, if I'm gaming these days, or if I'm doing anything these days, it's on the Quest. Love the Quest. But the game experiences in the past month have been extraordinary. Seriously, between a Medieval VR, which again, I really want to do an impressions video of that game. I love that game. It is amazing. A Medieval VR. Eye of the Temple. You can see my first impression video on the site. Also, incredible. Eye of the Temple. God, I feel like I'm missing something. Something else major came out. But regardless, we're getting a ton Kill It With Fire, another great one. I love that game. I love playing it. And that's just 3 games that came out in the past few weeks. There are way more games rolling out in the next month. So I think get ready, because right now it's looking like you have really compelling reasons, if you're into VR, to play games on the MetaQuest 2 and definitely on the upcoming MetaQuest 3. The gap between the platforms is only evident when you see something first party from Sony like Gran Turismo 7 or Resident Evil Village, right? Which is Capcom, I know. But when you see big high-end AAA stuff like that. But for the most part, the games are equal, right? Right now, because, Sony hasn't so far shown off a lineup of games that really showcase what the PSVR can do. They've just shown a bunch of MetaQuest 2 ports. I'm not saying they're not coming. As a matter of fact, I fully expect to see PSVR 2 hybrid games come out in what I call the second push of the PSVR 2, which I expect to be later this year. I think we're going to see developers behind the scenes get some more big AAA titles out. I think next week, if I remember correctly, PSVR 2 hits retailers in major stores across America. You don't have to just buy it on Sony's website anymore. You can go into any store and get it. This is going to be a big deal for PSVR 2. I'm very excited for the platform. It's costly. It's $1,000 when you add in the PS5 and the PSVR 2 together, just for the base experience. Forget Gran Turismo 7, because you add $70, or depending on how much you pay for the game, $40 to $70. You have to get the steering wheel and all the attachments. It's an expensive proposition, right? Very expensive proposition. So is it worth it? Yeah, I think Sony's going to definitely make it worth it eventually, but I don't think the average person just has that kind of money to drop. You can only just now maybe pick up a PS5, and only with a PS5 can you use the PSVR 2. So I'm not putting it out that I don't want one eventually. I would love to play one eventually, but right now it's not in the cards, and Meta is very compelling right now. MetaQuest 2 is compelling, and MetaQuest 3 is dropping some bangers. So I think it's going to be too close to call for the next few months. What's really exciting is PC VR. I've always pushed PC VR to the side because I hate PC. I started my life as a PC gamer. I started editing on PCs originally, and right around Doom 3, I dropped it. I didn't like keeping up with the configurations. Don't have the money to keep spending on graphics cards. No shade against PC VR users. I know you guys are getting the best experiences. Nothing can equal PC VR gaming. It's just not for me. So I've been very, very happy with standalone, and I'm very excited for what PSVR 2 has to eventually offer. But if you are a PC gamer, there's a lot going on there too. There are, Prey Dog? I think that's the name of the conversion tool that's coming out, which will basically take any flat 2D game and convert it with full 6DOF and allow you to play it on a PC VR headset. That's really dope, right? That's super exciting. I'm happy for you guys. That's great. All the money you guys have spent on your graphics cards, all the games you own in your Steam library, or all the games you own, it's about to become real. You're about to get all those experiences in VR and get to play those games that you, in ways you never got the chance to play them before. Your whole library is about to open up. So yeah, if you're a PC VR gamer, now's the time. It's about to get very exciting. I wish I could play with you guys. That's not for me. But like I said, I'm more excited for Quest 2, Quest 3 right now, and PlayStation 2. So that's a lot. This was 18 minutes of a test show. Hopefully this works. I'm not fancy. I don't have a fancy background. This is it. This is really a closet with a half green screen because I can't do a green screen in the whole room. So I figured just throw up the ass show. Live streaming starts this week. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. Tell me what you think of the show. Do you like this format? Frankly, I would love to do this daily. That's a little ambitious, maybe ambitious, short shows done daily. I don't have an hour. I can't do what Reforge Gaming or some of the other bigger streaming YouTube channels do. But I enjoy talking. I enjoy checking out Twitter and seeing what the news and what the pulse of the community is. What I would like to do, once I figure out how OBS works, is to have, graphics fly in, have split screen, have guests come in. It's all through OBS right now. But I think I could possibly do a news show, if not daily, maybe 3 times a week. Maybe 3 times a week, covering the industry, talking about topical stuff, talking about updates, call-ins. I love what Gamertag does. I love what Gamertag VR does with call-ins, giving you guys an opportunity to talk to me and ask questions. Right now, I have no idea if anyone's watching. I don't know if anyone's typing anything out or asking me questions because I haven't figured that out with OBS yet. So I'm going to work that out this week. So all of those features can be on this stream. But I think I can make enough content to sustain a weekly, 3-day-a-week show focused on the news of the VR industry surrounding Quest. It's not going to be as in-depth as something like Upload VR does because, you know, I don't have that team behind me. I'm not on anybody's team. But I'll do the best I can. I feel like I have a lot to say in VR, and hopefully you guys are down with the ride. I'm building up something. I tried it a couple of years ago, and I did a half-hearted attempt, so I'm giving it another go. So shout out to Shades. You've been one of the most faithful people on my channel for a while, and I appreciate you. Thank you for coming. And I'll see you guys in maybe tomorrow. I'm not going to make any promises because I still have to work out all the kinks, but maybe tomorrow. But look for tonight, the May release calendar for some surprising games that are coming out this month that I've seen some people overlook. There's some good stuff coming out this month. So check out the calendar, show out, and I'll see you guys in the future. Peace. I got to come up with a better outro than that, right?